Hi guys, my name is Ola and welcome to another video in our new series of how to teach English online. And today I'll be sharing with you some ideas of authentic materials that you can use in your classes. So the first category that came to mind when I thought about authentic materials was videos. And one of the most popular sources of authentic material for English learning and teaching is obviously TED Talks. If you haven't heard about TED Talks, please do Google them. Teachers have been using them for many years, and there are lots of lesson plans already made based on lesson plans. You can have a look at a lesson plans digger. Gosha, who is my friend, runs this blog, and every now and again she posts lessons based on TED Talks that are very useful and engaging. Another idea is you can use movie or series clips. What I've done is while watching a series that I enjoy, I would just cut out a clip of that series or film and use it to either introduce the context in my lesson or give it as a prompt for speaking. This generally creates lots of interest and is very engaging for the students. And another idea is using documentaries. What I did in the past is I asked my students to watch a full documentary but outside class. It was an hour-long Louis Theroux documentary, and we did a little bit of prep in the lesson. I pre-taught some vocabulary, and in the next lesson we had a few comprehension questions, and then we had a debate on the topic raised in the documentary. I really recommend this sort of things, especially with teenagers. I think it can motivate them to speak a little bit more and be engaged to take part in the lessons actively. And the next category of authentic materials is texts. So one of the types of text that I chose is newspaper articles. There are lots of lesson plans based on Guardian articles, and they're really good. They have all the activities ready-made and you can just download them from One Stop English. If you haven't heard about One Stop English, please do have a look. I'll post a link down below as well. You can also create your own comprehension questions to any sorts of newspaper articles that you find interesting and will be relevant for your students. Another idea is to use books, actual literature. What I did in the past is I read out a fragment of one of the books by Roald Dahl, Matilda, as a warmer in my lesson, which led to a lovely discussion about reading and advantages of reading in general. This was a great activity for my teenage students. So another idea for using texts as authentic material is using tabloid newspapers. So one thing that I did with my learners is show them pictures from tabloid newspapers with their captions. The captions usually use very colloquial language, so it can be really useful for our students to find out and learn this language in a very authentic context. And my next category is audio files, also all sorts of audio and listening material. One of the most obvious ones are news stories. Again, what I have done so far is I chose some news stories from the previous weeks and created very simple gist questions for my students to discuss. I've also used news that are not about current affairs. They were about technology or science, and they can be easily found on for example BBC websites. So I've created a few lovely little worksheets for my students with little vocabulary banks and speaking questions, also comprehension questions. They're really interesting. Please have a look at the different sections on BBC News website. And another type of listening input could be podcasts. You could create whole lessons based on one podcast or a part of a podcast. It can be a great pretext to teach some vocabulary or grammar, and to practice, obviously, to practice listening. And another idea could be creating your own audio files. I wrote a text that I then asked my friend to read out, so we created an audio file for my students to listen to and practice their listening skills. Please have a look at that lesson as well. I'm posting a link below. And that's it. If you're still looking for inspiration for authentic materials, please have a look at filmenglish.com. It's a lovely website with many lesson plans based on authentic videos found online. And on Friday, Alex will be posting an article on how to find authentic materials that are relevant to your students and useful in your lessons. We believe that using authentic materials has only advantages, so please don't be afraid to use them. Course book materials are well designed, and they are designed with learners' needs in mind, but authentic materials are how we expose our students to real natural language, so we should be using them as often as possible. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you very much, guys, and see you next week for another video in the series of how to teach English online. Bye! Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, follow us, and share.